And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Thursday evening. Welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be taking a look at some underrated CSGO knives. We're going to be making a list. We're going to be just, weighing the different types of knives, trying to find some good knives that over the next couple of months, maybe even years, would prove to be decent investments. And again, this is only entertainment purposes, not financial advice. We're just giving our opinions as a community and trying to come together and figure out, have a debate, I guess, and say which knives are superior and which ones are better investments than others. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day. Let me pop out the chat, say hello to you beautiful people. Underrated CSGO knives is the topic. Do you currently have a knife equipped in CSGO? Vote in the poll. Marco, welcome to the stream. Silver, welcome to the stream. Doppler knives. Yes, we will get into the Doppler knives, but Doppler isn't underrated. So, okay, I guess let's first define what does it mean to be underrated? Or, yeah, what does it mean to be underrated, chat? So, underrated basically means that, well, there's a couple ways you can spin it. Rarely seen in game, lower demand, which can mean, doesn't necessarily have to mean, but can mean lower prices. Underpriced, yep, lower prices, underpriced relative to its peers. So like to other knives that are of that sort. So for example, an ultraviolet could be underrated compared to a tiger tooth, if that makes sense, right? I would classify that as underrated, right? You do an ultraviolet bayonet, currently $400. I would say it's pretty, do bayonet tiger tooth. Bayonet tiger tooth is twice as much, twice as popular. Maybe it looks twice as good, you never know. Ultraviolet's from that same family. There are some particular knife types, tiers of knives. So it depends on the tier. So what does it mean to be underrated? Depends on the tier of knife. So for example, there are knives that I consider OG tier, meaning or tier 1 OG knives or tier 1 knives that I would consider would be like karambits. I would consider M9 bayonets. I would consider those, even gut knives, flip knives, those are like tier 1 OG knives. They first came out. Then we can do maybe like tier 2 knives, where you could say, well, I would actually consider butterfly too. You could sneak it in there because it is high tier. Everybody loves butterfly knives, but tier 2 could be maybe something like a huntsman or a talon knife or along that line, right? And we can go on and on. These are different tiers. This is just an example, right? Yo, Lumku, welcome to the stream, man. How you guys doing? Is gut knife tier 1? So here's the thing. So when I guess maybe tier isn't the right word. Maybe we should say like, okay, so Gen 1. My bad. So here, okay, so here, yeah, you bring up a good point. Let's do this. Let's do Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. I would argue that talent isn't really in the Gen 2. Yeah, Gen 2 is probably, I mean, if you think about it, this is probably the right way to do it. So like shadow daggers, Bowie knife, huntsman knife, falchion knife. Let's see, am I missing any other knives? Talon knives, Ursus knives. What are the other knives? Stiletto knives. What's the other knife? Shoot. Stiletto, Ursus, Talon. I think there was one more. Nomad? Was Nomad? No, Nomad wasn't a part of this. Either way, I mean, I guess you could put classic knife in here. But either way, these are just the different generations of knives. But I would argue that Gen 1 knives can't really be underrated. Because they're old, they're rare, everybody wants them. Now, again, you could say gut knife, oh, it's underpriced relative to a bayonet, so it's underrated. You could sort of make that claim, and, flip knives aren't as popular as M9, so yeah, they do have lower demand, lower prices. You could say that they are underrated, quote unquote, and they are part of Gen 1. But for the most part, most people, when they think of Gen 1 or like the top tier knives, they think of karambits, M9s, bayonets. Yes, Navaja, thank you guys, thank you, Navaja, yeah, thank you guys, yes, shout out to you guys. Yeah, Navaja knives are part, and then obviously Gen 4 was the, Gen 4 was Ursus, I believe, right? Ursus knives, skeleton knives, paracord knives, and survival knives. Wait. Nomad knives. Hold on. I think Ursus. Yeah, not Ursus. My bad. Sorry. There we go. There we go. Now we have the entire list of pretty much knives. Am I missing a knife, chat? Am I missing a generation of knives? How many different knives are there? Karambit, M9, Bayo, Gut, Flip, Butterfly, Shadow Dagger, Bowie, Huntsman, Falchion, Classic, Talent, Ursus. You're off to bed already, Ronnie? Yo, Ronnie, have a good night, dude. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out to support the stream, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, man. Have a good night. Isn't the best knives to invest in would be the best looking knives? Not always, Squeaker, not always. That's early. Good night, brother. Yo, what's up there? What's up there, Nezu? How you doing, man? So, hey, Fano, vanilla knife M9 versus flip knife. Thoughts? Which has the best potential? That's a great question. M9 is more pricey. It's more expensive. So, I would say it's more stable. It makes a lot of sense that you would probably want to go with the M9. But yeah, for the most part, I think flip knife is easier to double, but we'll talk to it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in this stream. What happened to Discord? I'll make a post on Twitter about the Discord later tonight, later tomorrow. Don't worry about the Discord. Long story short, Discord is kind of gone, and I'll talk more about that later. We still have the members only Discord for anybody interested, using the channel memberships below, if anybody is interested in the Patreon community, but public Discord is temporarily unavailable. Okay. Now, let's keep going though, guys, because we have a lot to discuss today about knives. We're here to talk about knives, we're here to talk about skins. So, these are the different knife types, and I would argue that still, out of all of these, the underrated knives, probably gonna be the classic knife, probably going to be shadow daggers, I would argue. Probably maybe like a survival knife, maybe even a paracord knife. Let's see here. Ursus knives could be considered, underrated. Karambit, Gut Knife, Talon. Yeah, Shadow Daggers are definitely underrated. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go off why they're underrated. So for Classic Knife, why is the Classic Knife underrated? Okay, it's only found is underrated because it is only found in one case. It is from a 20th anniversary case. Wasn't in the game as a common drop for too long. Let's see, what else? And it's a big knife. Big knife, takes up a lot of area, only comes in Fade, Vanilla, pretty much, like, Gen 1 or, Gen 1 finishes, if that makes sense. Because generally what you have is when you have a new knife, they come in vanilla flavors, they come in fade flavors, and then they release a second case that contains the Doppler version of those knives, right? So that's what I mean by Gen 1 finishes. Hopefully, like the OG finishes, I guess, is what probably is the right terminology here. Anyways, so that's why the classic knife is underrated, and yeah, the classic knife is a pretty decent knife. I used to have a Fade, very, very good knife. Nostalgia, classic, very good. Next we're gonna move on to shadow daggers. Why are shadow dagger knives underrated? So I would say shadow daggers are underrated because, well, how many cases were shadow daggers found in? And when I say shadow daggers, I'm talking about the shadow daggers that are found in the shadow case, right? The case that originally had the shadow daggers. I'm not talking about any of like the new finishes where you have like shadow daggers freehand or lures. they're okay, but I'm talking about like a vanilla Shadow Dagger knife, or a Fade Shadow Dagger, or a Case Hardened, maybe. Like they do come in quite a few finishes. So they're underrated because, well, it's an old knife. Had problems. It had problems with the jiggle crosshair upon draw. Let's see, why else were Shadow Daggers? Has the meme reputation. Yep, meme reputation. You know, the B plugs. You guys know what that stands for. And they are cheaper compared to the Gen 1. So if I'm looking at it from an investing standpoint, chat, I would say try to find knives, especially knives that have high tier finishes. So like, what's a high tier knife finish? Actually, we'll get to that. Like, what to look out for. We'll get to that in the next section. Right now, let's continue why these knives are underrated. So it's underrated because it's an old knife, had problems with the jiggle, pawn draw, meme reputation. They're tiny knives. Don't take up a lot of space. Most people like big knives. They like big things. So personally, I think that these knives are underrated because they're tiny. There's 2 of them. They're very small. So there you go. Vanillas are super clean. Exactly. Absolutely. So let's keep going here. So, okay, so that's why Shadow Daggers are underrated. Let's talk about the survival knife. Survival knife. So the survival knife is underrated because, well, because it's new. So many different options to choose from. Kind of small. How you doing there, Neven? Welcome to the stream, man. Marco, what's up, dude? Is there a date for CS2? Not yet. We will probably do a CS2 waiting stream starting in a few weeks. Not right now, though. Do you think Slaughters will make a comeback? That's a great question, Marvin. I personally don't see that happening. I don't see Slaughter knives ever coming back as mainstream popularity. I think we'll have different finishes. We'll have different knives. Slaughter, been there, done that, you know? I personally would stay away. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of small. It's a new knife type, and there's way too many other options to choose from. Let's take a look at, same thing with paracord. Honestly, the survival knife and the paracord knife are underrated for that very reason. Honestly, another reason is the skeleton knife took away its thunder. It basically, I mean, if you look at the knives from Gen 4, the best knife, arguably, is the skeleton knife in that. And then Simple made the Nomad knife very popular, so a lot of people are starting to really like Nomad knives. I actually, the more I look at it, I also see that it is not a bad knife, but, you know, I digress. The survival knife is pretty underrated, same with the paracord. They seem to be like the middle child in a family, if you will. They took away their thunder. It's kind of small. That's why the survival and paracord knives are technically considered underrated. And we'll talk about different, which knives are better than others. But let's talk about the Ursus knife. So the Ursus knife, chat. The Ursus knife is underrated because the Talon knife stole its thunder from the Gen 3 knives. I know that's kind of a crazy explanation, but the reason the Ursus knife is underrated is because it isn't the Talon knife. If you get rid of the Talon knife, chat, the Ursus knife will probably be a popular knife in that collection, or in that particular family of knife generations. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, people opening Prisma cases will probably open that knife to try to get an Ursus knife, right? An Ursus Ruby or an Ursus, Fade or what have you, right? But because the Talon knife exists, I mean, the Ursus is kind of the second in line, right? You have your Talons. So, that's true. You bring up a decent point, Sanzor. You bring up a great point. Thank you for contributing. Yeah, the Ursus knife has a, I don't want to say controversial, but like, it has a weird looking handle that many people don't like. Agreed. So yeah, the handle isn't very good, and yeah, it pretty much stole, the Talon knife stole its thunder. Dirty handle, exactly, yeah. Dirty handle. Okay, so these knives are a bit underrated, but I would argue that there are other knives that could be construed as underrated. You know, like, for example, in terms of price related, right? Like, I think there are some Huntsman knives that could be classified as underrated. They could probably start to see more appreciation. Bowie knives are one-handed. If they weren't one-handed, they'd probably stonk like crazy. Imagine CS2 comes out and Bowie knife has 2 hands. Like, this knife probably deserves better than it currently has. I personally would consider Bowie knife a little bit underrated, but that's just me. Depends on the knife. You have to pick the right one. There are many different types of Bowie knives. I don't even plan on buying a knife. Well, that's on you. Nobody is telling you what to buy right now. I'm not saying you should be buying these knives that we're going to be discussing. I'm just saying that these are the knives that are cheap. Why are they cheaper than the other knives? Will there be any positive catalysts when CS2 comes out for some of these knives? And for example, the Shadow Daggers, CS2, they fixed the jiggle. They fixed the jiggle crosshair. That's actually pretty big. A lot of people that I've talked to really don't like these knives exactly for that bug, that jiggle crosshair animation. They genuinely don't want to use it. So there's that. So there you go. Let's see here. Huntsman Damascus Steel is a W in my opinion. Yep, anything Damascus Steel. Okay, we can talk about knives that are underrated, but we can also talk about underrated finishes, chat. Underrated finishes on knives. What are some underrated finishes on knives? I would argue Damascus Steel is a bit underrated. Like, you can actually find a pretty decent budget knife, like a cheaper knife that's Damascus Steel, and it will look really good. So absolutely, Damascus Steel, underrated. I think it's a great looking finish. Tiger Tooth is highly underrated. Tiger Tooth is a hit or a miss. Some people consider it underrated, some people consider it overrated. I'm more of the camp that says it's somewhere in the middle. It's not very high tier, but it's not low tier. It's a slightly a step above low tier, in my opinion. Other underrated finishes that I would consider would be Rust Coat. Rust Coat. Yeah, maybe a Rust Coat. Yeah, Rust Coat. Let's see here. Do we consider freehand? Yeah, freehand, I guess. Freehand knives. Let's see here. Freehand, Rust Coat, Damascus Steel for sure. Black Lamb, yes. Black Lamb looks very similar to Vanilla's. A lot of people don't like Black Lambs, but I think you can find, you know, and can I just make something very, very clear, chat? Let me put some asterisks here, guys. Just because I'm listing something here as underrated doesn't mean that it's a good purchase, doesn't mean that that you have to like it on every knife. Let me make that crystal clear. Does not mean that these finishes look good on every single knife or type of knife. Let me give you an example. Flip knife, Black Lamb, doesn't look as good as a Huntsman Black Lamb high float. That is a fact. Okay, so that's an opinion, but a lot of people could probably agree with this statement, is what I'm trying to say. So just because something is listed here as underrated doesn't mean that, Black Lamb, I have to go buy a Karambit Black Lamb because it's underrated and has potential. Well, no, maybe the Huntsman Black Lamb might be a better one because it has, you know, a higher degree of blackness, if that makes sense. So hopefully you guys understand the caveat here, the examples I'm trying to make here. Safari, yeah, Black Lamb is great in poor float too. Exactly, yeah, the higher the float the better, but it looks better on different knives, so like it's not equal, if that makes sense. Tiger Tooth for sure is underrated. I'm surprised a lot of you guys are putting Tiger Tooth as underrated. I would consider it somewhere in the middle, but I'll put Tiger Tooth in here, and we'll talk more about Tiger Tooths later on down the road. What's your opinion on souvenir AK gold arabesques? What about gold arabesque souvenirs? Seems like there could be some golden AKs at some point in the future. I think it's too risky if you're buying a souvenir AK right now. With all the leaked information, maybe we do get golden skins in the future, and it's too much of a risk. So I'm not buying gold arabesque. I'm not buying souvenir skins. I'm not buying anything souvenir related, really. I've made videos on like souvenir packages and such that you guys can check out on my YouTube channel. It may seem weird, but I used to love my stained huntsman knife. Yeah, stained knives, are they underrated? How do they look in CS2, Marco? Guys, stained knives. What do you think of stained knives? Do they look good in CS2? Let's see here. Stained knives. The bayonet's stained. Maybe they're very shiny in CS2. Maybe they're bright. Perhaps they're very mid. You guys think they're mid? Fair enough, fair enough. Very mid. They're affordable. They are like really good budget knives. I see, okay. Stained knives are underrated. They look fire. I mean, you could probably... But again, here's where I want to say, like, Tiger Tooth may be underrated compared to, like, others, but I would argue that stained knives are a tier below Tiger Tooth, unless they fixed it in CS2. They made them very shiny and desirable. They definitely look better in CS2. I mean, we'll put it on the list, yeah, stained knives. And we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about them later. Or actually, no, let's talk about it now. Like, we can talk about, like, you know, Black Lamb, high float knives, potential for black loadouts. Tiger Tooth, self-explanatory, cheaper than its peers. Okay. Stained, super shiny, and metallic looking in CS2, and is affordable. Let's see here. Fresco turns orange at high float levels. Very, very cool color. Freehand, nobody likes it, but it fits purple themes and is pattern based. Shiny skin, shiny finish in CS2. It's very shiny. Damascus steel, super shiny and metallic in CS2, and affordable. Yeah. So okay, so these are so we're looking at the different finishes right now, and we're trying to like reason why they're not as desirable as the other ones. Okay. So what do we look out for? What should we be looking out for when going for underrated knives, right? So like, what should we generally be looking for? Well, it depends on how much money you have, honestly, right? If you're trying to find opportunity, I would personally look for knives that are cheaper than $1,000. Now again, everybody's different. Some people don't have $1,000 or $1,000 to spend. Some people only have 500 or 100, right? They don't want to spend too much money on knives, right? So if you're looking for investments and looking for potential, it really does depend on how much capital you're willing to deploy. So what I would say is, if you don't have a lot of money, take a look at higher tier knives from underrated finishes. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you take a look at a, I don't know, maybe you take a look at a bayonet stained, for example. A bayonet from the Gen 1, but it is from an underrated finish, like a stained bayonet. It's shiny in CS2. Or maybe a Damascus steel, you take a look at something that, maybe like a, what's a good Damascus steel knife? I mean, there's like a Huntsman Damascus steel, I would argue, is pretty good, because they're both underrated Huntsman and it's Damascus. So exactly. Knife for Paris, that's my trade-off. I'm not even good at the game. No, listen. Don't get this twisted. I'm not saying you should be buying knives right now. I'm just saying, like, these are, like, if you want to diversify outside of Paris and you don't have a lot of money and you want to put into something that's cheaper than the more high-tier, high-demand items. Because, listen, guys, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you guys exactly how it is. If you want long-term growth and you want stability and you want soundness, you want to complete your portfolio, right, your investments, it's probably a good idea to buy the highest tier knives, tried and true, everybody wants them, desirable, all the streamers are talking about them, but not everyone can afford those. So for example, if you can't afford a karambit, see if you can afford a Talon knife, something that's cheaper. It's a step below the karambit, right, for most people. So that's what I'm doing, right? if I'm gonna be investing in knives, I'm probably not gonna be investing in like the higher tier expensive karambits. I mean, you could buy 1 or 2 as a play skin, sure. Everybody wants karambits, but I'm talking like finding opportunity, finding future growth. Where's the next generation of growth? And that's probably gonna be in like the Talon knives. It's probably gonna be in like the stilettos or maybe the paracords or survival knives or even the shadow daggers when CS2 comes out potentially, right? Or stuff like that. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with this live stream, right? With this video. Pull says, I think we should be looking at charts instead. Look at supply and demand. That's actually a valid point there, Pulse. Supply and demand is important, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, but here's where it gets tricky when you have to do with supply and demand. Gen 4 came out a little bit before we got the Prime update, the changes that were made to Prime, which basically what they did was they changed the way that cases were being dropped, if that makes sense, right? And if you're limiting the cases that are being dropped, you know how many cases can be dropped a week depending on the user. Do they have Prime? Do they not have Prime? You're essentially putting a, not necessarily a limit, but like you're limiting the potential surge of new knives being unboxed, if that makes sense. So why do people hate the B plugs? To me, they look good to look at. Depends on the type of B plug, so it depends on the finish. But I would say vanilla knives, you can't go wrong with the OG shadow case for long term. Do you think the shadow daggers ruby will increase in value once again? Oh, absolutely. Anything ruby related, anything like sapphire, ruby, emerald, those things should have long term potential. I would definitely be a buyer there if you can afford it. Are you going to be doing some Q&A after this? Maybe a little bit snowy, but I do want to keep the discussions focused on knives, right? Can you make a general Q&A stream? We'll do that. What day is today? Today's Thursday. I'll do a stream tomorrow, Friday, that is purely Q&A dedicated. I can help you guys out with your investments. And then obviously we have the tier 3 stream, the members only stream on Saturdays if you want even more personal direct conversations with me about your investments. Let's see here. There is a huge demand for cheaper knives because those are the affordable ones. Obviously, it doesn't count for every knife. Exactly, Neven. Exactly. We can look at the next best knife, though. Essentially, go for finishes we know have done well, such as Vanilla's Dopplers. Yeah. So, okay. So, what to look out for? Okay. So, here's the thing. If you're looking for knives to look out for CS2 investments, generally speaking, you want to either go for tried and true finishes like fades greater than Dopplers greater than vanillas. Personally, me, chat, if you look at my investment portfolio, shout out to the Patreon squad. If you guys are in the Discord, community Discord, you have access to my entire investments portfolio, all my spreadsheets. I just updated it today with a bunch of new purchases, so be on the lookout for that. I'm only invested in fades, I'm only invested in Dopplers, I'm only invested in vanilla knives. Anything else is just, like, I'm not saying it's not a good investment, I'm just saying I'm at a point in my investing career where I can afford to seek growth and opportunity in other asset classes besides knives. Because at the end of the day, realistically speaking, knives aren't going to double, triple, quadruple in value, as quickly or as safely, if that makes sense, as perhaps maybe a capsule or a sticker or a case may, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So for me, I prefer fades over Dopplers or vanillas, and it really doesn't matter too much the knife. So for example, I guarantee you, chat, again, not financial advice, just my opinion, I think that if you buy today a, vanilla Navaja knife, an underrated knife or a hated knife that everybody hates, I can almost bet you that in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that Navaja vanilla is probably going to be worth more. Just because the case rises over time and, demand for other knives around it will rise. It's a vanilla knife. It's an OG, a first generation knife of its kind. It'll probably rise with time. So for example, Me personally, what I'm doing, I'm not going for vanilla navajos. I'm personally going for maybe some talons or some Ursus knives, right? They're second in line after the Gen 1. What about Gen 2, Fano? Well, Butterfly is way too expensive. Shadow Daggers are underrated, so I do like Shadow Daggers vanilla. I think those are good, maybe some fades. Bowie Knife is underrated, but I don't want to diversify too much with knives, so I'm only going to stick to a 1 to 3. I'm going to employ the same tactic with my Paris investments for the knives. So if I'm building a knife portfolio, I'm not going to like buy every single knife under the sun. I'm going to pick my my stability growth knives, which will probably be like a Talon knife, maybe an Ursus, maybe some Shadow Daggers. I'll look into survival knives, but you never know. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. Low-end vanillas are also amazing, extremely stable. Exactly, Pulse. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. I've seen a little bit of growth. I agree with you on the fades. I'm heavily invested in fades, but definitely a higher class to buy in. Absolutely, Pulse. And by the way, like I said, you know, it can mean lower prices, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean lower prices. You can still have knives that are a bit pricey and are considered quote-unquote underrated. You know, people don't give them the same level of attention as, let's say, the highest tier knife, which, you know, Butterfly knife, for example. So it is what it is. Hey, Fano, I have a Tiger Tooth Shadow Daggers. To me, they look amazing. Good for you. Yeah, Tiger Tooth Shadow Daggers. I used to have one, Finality. Those are great. Hey, Fano, where can I buy Buff Balance? Do you sell Buff Balance? Yeah, we have a guy named Ichiha Madara. He is in our... He's in our Patreon Discord that you can contact. He's on Twitter, Ichiha Madara too, that you can contact. But there's not a lot of people that sell Buff Balance that I can vouch for. There's only a handful of people that I tend to send. Neven is a good guy. Neven has Buff Balance here and there. Hey, Fano, do you think that they will remove the golden shine from the Tiger Tooth? I hope they don't. But here's the thing. And here's another reason why it's risky to invest in knives. How many of you guys saw my latest YouTube video? Press 1 in the chat, guys, if you watched my latest YouTube video, the one I posted yesterday. It was about how it's kind of risky to be buying skins at, you know, at these levels. It's kind of risky since we're so close to CS2. We just don't know, like, we're still higher than pre-CS2 release. So, like, when CS2 got released, prices spiked. We're still above those levels, so it is kind of risky in a sense to be buying skins and let alone knives. However, if you did want to diversify, and that's a big if, taking a look at some of the knives that we discussed, like the vanillas, like the Dopplers, like the fades, or if you can't afford those types of knives, even the low tier ones like the Nomad vanillas or the Navaja vanillas, you can't afford them, then maybe after that you can go down and you can take a look at some underrated knife types, the ones that we listed, right? Shadow Daggers, maybe Huntsman knives, maybe you think the Ursus is underrated, right? And then you take those and you put them under a Damascus Steel or a Tiger Tooth that is shiny, that looks good in CS2, that will probably have renewed growth when the game comes out. Freshly says, hey Fano, where's the Discord? Did you kick me? No, guys, I'm gonna be making a statement on Twitter about the Discord. It got deleted. No fault of your own, chat. Nothing personal against you guys. I'll clear things up in a tweet. Can you teach us how to do a simple 10x? I wish, listen, if I could see into the future, I would love to, but I'm only giving you guys my thoughts and opinions. Should I sell my gold stickers from Paris to buy another knife? Depends on your gold stickers, but honestly, depends on the knife that you're buying, and also depends on what gold stickers you have. Personally, I wouldn't make too many moves, especially since we're pretty close to the end of the sale, chat. What day is today? Today's the 17th of August. We are closing in on the end of the sale. Whether you like it or not, chat, it's almost been 2 months, so be on the lookout for the end of the sale. Today I just bought some Shadow Daggers Emerald Factory New as my new investments for CS2. Do you think that they look good? Yes, I think Shadow Daggers and Emerald, especially shiny in CS2 green, should do very, very well. Let's see. I think that they will, wait, I think they will add 3D texture mapping to Damascus. That will probably be a positive thing. Positive thing for those knives. I agree, devs here. I agree. Huntsman Freehand Factory New in CS2, is that a good investment? Well, you tell me. Look at the list that we made, right? Is Huntsman on the list? I mean, I would personally argue, yeah, Huntsman and Bowie knife don't get the same level of attention as like a bayonet does, or even a talon knife. So I would say it's underrated. Yeah, I would say it's underrated. But I would personally go with like vanilla Huntsman. I would go with, if you can, right, Tiger Tooth Huntsman, Fade Huntsman if you can. But Damascus Huntsman is certainly underrated. The price is low. It's often overlooked. Good looking knife. I sold my Stiletto Ultraviolet Battle Scarred for 200 euros to invest in Paris. Was that the right choice? Most likely, yes. Probably, that's what I would vouch for. Selling your knives that you don't need right now, you sell them, you invest in Paris, you take those profits, you funnel that into maybe an operation investment, and then once you've made enough money for your dream knife, quote unquote, whether it's a Doppler, whether it's a higher tier knife, maybe like a Talon or a bayonet, then you can do that. Yeah. Hey Fano, I have Mouse Gold and I Am Gold and some 5 euro golds total, 119 euros. Okay. Listen, Mouse Gold, I don't want to like jump the gun, but I do like Mouse, and I think that if, you know, if the hollows do well, if the papers do well, golds will also do very well. So I like Mouse Gold. And then I Am Gold, player autograph golds, I usually don't invest in. I stay away from player autographs personally, but that's just me. Yeah, it's kind of risky to invest. Yeah, kind of risky to invest in knives at the moment, unless you find them at attractive prices, and they have potential catalysts when CS2 comes out. That's the caveat here. It's kind of risky to be investing in knives at the moment unless you happen to stumble upon a knife at a good price, or a knife that has these quote-unquote potential profits that you can take when CS2 comes out that we've discussed earlier in the stream. Speaking of attractive, look at Fano's VPix. Thank you. Let's see here. Hey Fano, I currently almost am fully invested. I have 2 knives, 1 classic Fade and 1 Huntsman Tiger Tooth. Besides that, I have $500 of play skins and $1,000 of cases, $3,000 in various sticker capsules. What do you think? I think that's a great investment, Yogi. I think you're very diversified. You're doing very well. Any extra cash that you come in, just whether it be through case drops or just, you know, any cash that you run into, I would personally just buy more Paris capsules, buy more cheap stickers from Paris, and maybe some souvenir packages, Mirage, and that's it really. I mean, just wait for the sale to end and you should be good to go. Let's see here. Is a Huntsman knife for $140 good? It's a Damascus steel. Personally, I would say yes, but it depends on your time horizon, Doozy. So here's the thing. You can invest in an underrated knife, but at the end of the day, chat, it's underrated for a reason. It's underrated until it's not underrated anymore. It's underrated until sentiment changes. And what I'm making the stream for is to make a case for some of these knives that are underrated, why that narrative may change. And again, that's exactly what investing is. You place your bets. You try to predict the future and see what will happen and how will demand shift over the years, right? So me personally, I think there is potential in Shadow Daggers, but it's not guaranteed, obviously. There's potential in, you know, Huntsman knives, but it's not guaranteed. There's potential in Talon knives, just how, you know, how popular karambits are. I think Talon knives can continue rising just because a lot of people maybe can't afford karambits. They go for the second best thing, Talon knives, right? So there's opportunity everywhere, but you just have to like find it, and that's what this whole stream is about. With 200 euros, I bought 200 mouse papers for 11 cents, some Mongols hollows for 89 cents, and mouse glitters. Was that a good investment? I like that. I like that a lot. Full disclosure, I am invested in mouse papers, so absolutely agree with you on that. Mongols hollow is an interesting play. Not invested in that, but, you know, it's a cheap sticker. Some glitter, mouse glitters I like. Apex glitters, good team. Absolutely, man. Good stuff there, good stuff. In my opinion, you'd be better off spending another $60 for vanilla B plugs. They're gorgeous black set of knives. Yes, I agree with you. So let's cut to the chase. Let's create a list here. Let's create a list for everybody that, you know, has been watching to this point, but they're like, hey, Fano, I want a list. I want a list of items that you're looking at that you see potential in. So let's make a list, chat. So personally, I think Shadow Daggers, Vanilla on that list, easy. Next on the list, Talon Knife Vanilla. May not be the, you know, the cheapest knife in the game, but it's second to the Karambit. It's the next generation after Karambit, or a little bit after, you know, Gen 3. I think there's potential there. Talon Knife Vanilla. What are some other ones, chat, that we can put on this list? Are you worried for Cato 14 crashing if iBuyPower comes back? Well, okay, so Cato 14 isn't going to crash because of iBuyPower. iBuyPower Cato may crash if, you know, if we have a borderless iBuyPower sticker that looks really good, but I don't think the entire Cato economy and market is going to crash because of one team. No Ninja Watchers, guys, hit that like button. Yeah, chat, do me a favor, guys, hit that like button. There's 60 of you guys in here. There is no reason why we can't get more likes. Really do appreciate all you guys staying up to watch the stream. Let's see. So, Cato 14 would most likely still be Cato 14. True. Let's see. What are some other vanillas, though, chat? Give me some other vanillas, guys. It's 4 p.m. here. Shout out to you. What are some other knives? I would say, what are some other cheap knives that we can take a look at? I would say, survival knife vanilla / fade / do they come in Damascus? I don't think they come in Damascus. Pretty much anything vanilla, I'm a big fan. So here's the thing. Pretty much anything vanilla is a seemingly safe investment, or rather safer investments, in my books. And the reason for that is because it is first of its kind, right? When the stiletto knife or the talon knife first came out, the case only had vanilla knives, and then, you know, Prisma came out and they had talon rubies and talon tiger tooths, and they didn't have vanillas, so it's only found in those original cases, those old cases. So anything vanilla, fair game. It doesn't matter if it's a Navaja, you know, Shadow Daggers. It doesn't matter if it's a Bowie knife. Anything vanilla is fair game in terms of investments-wise in my books. There's a vanilla for every budget, too. Exactly. There's a vanilla for every budget. So I'm not going to put this list with a bunch of vanillas, but I will say pretty much anything vanilla is fair game. Let's see here. Tiger Tooth Shadow Daggers are around $250, and full gold in CS2. I'd rather spend $50 more than a vanilla Shadow Daggers. You can do that as well, my guy. But the thing is, though, Finality, let me just make one point. They look better in CS2 right now, but just as quickly as they announced CS2 and just as quickly as they made the update to make it look shiny and bright, they could easily flip the switch and say, hey, Shadow Daggers, Tiger Tooths, they don't have this glow anymore. They look a little bit different. They look, you know, a little bit dark. They could change it. You could make the case that they could change any knife, but I would argue the degree to which it will affect market sentiment is higher for the Tiger Tooth than it is for the vanilla. So rewind that if it didn't make sense, but like, it's not going to affect it as much. Hopefully that makes sense. Vanilla knives aren't going to be impacted because they are vanilla. They're basic, bland as can be, but they're rare and old as an investor standpoint. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Hey, Fano, when to sell in general? Depends on what you've invested in, when to sell. Hard to say. You know, it depends on your time horizon. Certain knives I've held on for many years. Some knives I've sold in a couple months. It really does depend. Did they fix the bug in the Shadow Daggers? Yes, they did. They did fix the bug. I don't have even money to buy a Navaja knife. Well, that's why you start small, 11s. You start small with Paris. You invest a little bit this major. You take some profits from Paris. You invest in the next operation. You make money from the next operation. You put some money into Copenhagen next year. You take that money from Copenhagen, and maybe you have enough at that point to buy a knife. It's called compounding. It's called moving from one investment to the other, taking profits, you know, gathering your, you know, building your portfolio, and then eventually, you know, eventually you'll, you know, you hit your price targets and you cash out, learning to cash out. Hey Fano, what is happening with the Fano Discord? I want to ask some questions. Yeah, I'll be making a statement about the public Discord server, why it got deleted, and all of that in a tweet. Be on the lookout for that soon, chat. Right now, the only Discord we currently have access to is the one with the channel memberships. So if you become a channel member, you'll have access to the private Discord community. That is still a thing. At the moment, there is no public Discord. I will make an announcement later tonight. I bought 150 Apex papers for 4 cents. Was that worth it? I think 4 cents is a decent entry point. Personally, I prefer 3 cents, but 4 cents, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, 3 cents. Yeah, 3 cents is the way to go. Let's see here. When to buy at the peak. When to sell at the lowest price possible. Yikes. I was so stupid from me to sell all my Antwerp stickers for 3 cents. When did you sell them, though? What is your idea for cashing out for Paris? Are you going to cash out Heroic at 2x, 3x, or 4x and more? Yo, Mr. Gamer Index, you're a member of the Patreon, right? You're a member of the channel, right? So you'll know exactly when I set my price targets, when I sell. But for the most part, I would say I have different tiers. So for example, my core investments, which are my my MOUs, my Apex, my Gamer Legions, those I'm going to hold off a little bit longer, as opposed to my lower tier investments, which I have a smaller stake in, like Heroic, Fluxo, Gamer Legion, or not Gamer Legion, sorry, OG. I have a smaller stake position in them, so I'm probably gonna cash out sooner at like a 2x or probably a 3x, honestly. I think stickers, a 3x is good money, but it varies. That's the thing. Like, I don't like making these predictions because we just don't know what is going to happen in the future. We don't know how long it will take for them to rise. We don't know at what price they're gonna reach in a few months. So we're just gonna have to monitor the markets every week, take a look at, scan sentiment, scan how people are feeling, and go from there. What do you think about VSM papers? I prefer VSM hollows. I think the papers can rise, but I mean, yeah, probably just go with hollows. What about vanilla stilettos? They've been steadily rising in price. Finality. Look at what I wrote here. Anything vanilla is a seemingly safe investment, safer investment than other knives. I'm a buyer of pretty much any vanilla knife. It doesn't matter which knife it is. If you buy it today, most likely in the future, you will probably make profit. Obviously, you want to find a knife that, more people tend to like and, have demand for. But it's the safest thing in the sense that a year from now, you're not going to have the CSGO skins economy or market start hating on vanillas. Vanillas is safe. It's safe, bland, and boring. And as an investor, I want my knives to be exactly that. I want knives to hold value. I want knives to have, obviously, potential to rise because of their rarity. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Simple economics, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you think about the potential for the Virtus Pro Stockholm Hollow? Full disclosure, I have a bunch of those in my inventory. I have like 50 or so of these Stockholm Hollows. Big fan of Stockholm. It's my hedge against Paris. And yeah, we'll go from there. Yo, Danish Chumar, thank you so much for the sub. And Petter, thank you guys so much for subscribing. Guys, do me a favor. If you are new to the stream, hit the sub button below. The red button. Thank you so much, guys. And look at all these resubs, man. Taha, Edward, Paco, Aeon, Nickname, DJ Fire. Thank you guys so much for renewing your channel memberships in the Discord. Shout out to you guys. Okay. So let's see here. How you doing there, HQ Mako? What's up, man? Gorgeous VP stickers, yes, sir. Are you buying skins from viewers? At the moment, no. I'm not really buying and selling skins. I'm more of an investor. I like to invest my money into assets like, cases, stickers, capsules. I have knife investments too, but not really too heavy in there. I bought a couple of Dexter Hollows. Do you think they will rise in price? They probably will rise in price in the next couple of months and years. What is a good price for the Fnatic and Fluxo buyers on Steam right now? Personally, I would say, I mean, Fnatic anything under 5, Fluxo anything around 4 is probably decent. Okay. I get fish based upon the adorable taste. What the heck are you guys talking about? Okay. Ayo Dennis, welcome to the stream, man. Hey Fano, I got to go. Good luck on your list. Thank you so much, Pulse. Thanks so much. Yeah, so like I said, all right. Talon Knife Vanilla, definitely. Talon Knife Vanilla, Shadow Dagger Vanilla, Ursus Knife, pretty much anything vanilla is fair game. Apart from these two knives, let's take a look at some Damascus Steel knives from Tier 1 collection. Damascus Steel knives from Tier 1 collection. I would say stained knives from Tier 1 collection, since they are underrated and they're very cheap. Damascus Steel stained knives, they're very shiny, cheap from Tier 1. And then, let's see, what else could we discuss? Do you have any of the Dex Hollows, Fano? Dex Hollows? No. Guys, I am not investing in Paris autograph stickers. I'm only investing in the team stickers, the team capsules, not investing in any autographs. I've made countless streams talking about it. I'll probably make a video explaining myself in a more concise manner in the future. We were talking about investing into rare finishes as a hedge. Okay, I see what you're saying. What about skeleton knives? They're not underrated, they're expensive. Listen, they're good. Skeleton knives are good, don't get me wrong. A Fade skeleton knife today is probably gonna be worth a lot more in a couple of years. Absolutely, it's rare, it's old, right? However, it's not cheap, and right now, since I think there's a better use of that money. You can put that money to better use into Paris, for example, if that makes sense. Do you think the liquid hollow is a good investment? Do you think it'll rise? It's kind of shiny, kind of hard to see. It'll rise with a lot of other items from Paris, but I don't think it will necessarily outperform some of my other picks that I've made in my investments. Hopefully that makes sense. They dropped in price recently, though, the skeleton knives. Hey, listen, but they're still above their pre-CS2 announcement levels, so that's another thing, chat. A lot of these knives, pretty much any knife that you pick, right? Pretty much any knife that you pick, if you look at their price before CS2 was announced to what it's currently trading for, even these old knives that aren't really that popular, have lower liquidity, they're still above their pre-CS2 announcement levels. So, and this is just an example of a low liquid item, but I'm sure if we look at like skeletons, if we look at other knives, you guys can get a better understanding. So like skeleton, like a skeleton vanilla knife, for example, right? If you take a look at it, here's the announcement. Look at this. Here is the announcement of CS2 came sometime in late March, right? So as you can see, boom, it spiked up, literally doubled in value. And then it crashed, continued crashing. It's been on a downward trend. This doesn't look like it's being broken. It looks like it'll probably continue going at least until CS2 comes out. Maybe it has an initial spike again. Hard to really say. But there's no denying that that vanilla knives are long-term investments, chat. Long-term investment. It's still higher than the pre-Paris and sorry, not Paris. Pre-Paris, pre-CS2 announcement. So be careful there. Be careful. Yeah, I know how it is. Whatever you say, it will be used against you. It's quite stupid. Yeah, tell me about it, my guy. Might spike the customer, though it is scared. Okay. I have a flip knife, battle scarred stain. Should I keep it? Probably. I don't like that it's battle scarred, but hey, listen, like, I'm sure CS2 comes out, it's shiny, it's an old knife. It'll probably appreciate, but it's not something crazy like a vanilla knife, Shadow Daggers, or a Talon vanilla. I think Talon will outperform it personally. I'm very bullish on Talon knives being the next Karambit, if you will. What about Blue Steel? We haven't really talked about Blue Steel. I like Talon Blue Steels, or not Talons, but like Blue Steels in general, especially high float ones that turn like purplish. Those are pretty good. Thoughts on the Fade Paracord knife? Great knife, dude. Great knife. Love the Paracord, love the Fade. What capsules do you recommend investing in? Team capsules, personally contenders is what I'm looking into. Classic knife Fade, I used to have one, Milnius. I think it's a great knife. I have a Paracord Vanilla. It seems to stay pretty healthy. Yes, Dennis, holding on to those vanillas, holding on to the Paracord, maybe a decent thing to do. Brother, please wish my girlfriend a happy birthday. Shout out to your girlfriend, man. Happy birthday. Hope you're having a great day. Your voice is, why is your voice soothing as I do my 9 to 5? Hey, man. treat this stream as a podcast. You can hear and listen to me talk about skins, investments, and everything in between. Is it possible for ITB to triple in price from current levels? Triple in price ITB? Assuming they get, assuming they fail to qualify for the next major, and their sticker is 1-for-1 unique in Paris, I would say there's nothing really stopping it from doing very well, like, you know, tripling. Like, historically it has happened, and I don't see why it cannot continue. Fano, you just leaked the members only capsule video. Did I? I didn't leak everything. Shh. Too much. Don't say too much. I have a butterfly blue steel. It's still a good investment. Anything butterfly, at the end of the day, I'm a buyer. I like butterflies. They're kind of pricey right now, so I'm staying away, but they're pretty cool. That's actually a very good question, Mr. Gamer Index. I'll probably be making a video of that. How do you think, or what do you think, the new kukri knives, how will they affect the market? So for those of you that don't know, in the game files, we actually have a new knife type. It's called the kukri. It's a very interesting knife. Looks very weird. Some people love it. People think that it's going to be a tier 1 knife, very popular. How will it affect prices? Honestly, it depends. It depends on if people run with it. It depends on what the market puts the price tag, like what price does it place on, if that makes sense. I personally am of the believer that it will, it won't dethrone the butterfly. It won't dethrone the karambit in like the high tiers. It'll be like a skeleton knife. It'll be popular. It'll be good, expensive. Everybody wants one. But it's not going to be like the best knife that everybody wants, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen and heard. But I could be wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. Like, you know, it's hard to predict these things. Don't you think the Shadow Daggers Vanilla will be hard to sell in CS2 since they are seen as less popular knife if we would invest now? Not if they... No. Vanilla knives are pretty liquid, I would say, known. And I don't think you're going to have a hard time selling, especially when CS2 comes out, when there's a lot more people playing, and they are cheaper than some of the other competitors from the vanilla types. Listen, guys, it's all about time horizon at the end of the day, known. I'm not telling you right now, known. I'm not saying buy the Shadow Daggers vanilla now, and then when CS2 comes out, it's a guaranteed 2x you should sell then. Hey, listen, if it doubles in price when CS2 comes out, I would consider selling. Absolutely, lock in some profit. It's always good and smart to take profits. What I am saying, though, is if you're looking for skins to invest for CS2 that have the potential, keyword potential, to rise, take a look at some vanillas, take a look at some shiny, you know, shiny finishes like the stains, like the Damascus steels. Take a look at some of the knives that we talked about earlier in the stream and the different types, and go from there. Hey Fano, can I join your Discord somehow? I'm an investor in the Patreon and the link below doesn't seem to work. Yeah, Flawless Football, if you subscribe using the Patreon, if you join the private Discord server through Patreon, guys, there is a if you link your Discord to your Patreon account, you should be able to find the invite link to the private Discord through your Patreon settings. So you go into Patreon, there should be an invite link there to join the private community. Yeah, it is a good place to be. Make sure you connect your channel, your accounts. Honestly, the SD vanilla price is pretty appealing. Yes, that's another reason why I like the Shadow Daggers. It's underrated because it's an old knife. It had problems with the jiggle in the past. It has the meme reputation, which kind of makes it relevant but also underrated. It's a tiny knife, which I don't like, but hey, it is what it is. But I love the price. I love the price of the knife. It actually is a pretty decent price. Hey Fano, I picked up a field-tested Vulcan a couple weeks ago for 75% buff at the time. Shout out to you, man. That was a good purchase. I unboxed the paracord case hardened wool worn. Do you think I should keep it? Depends on if it has a good pattern or not. Probably sell it so you can invest in Paris or some other shorter term profits. Maybe sell it for an operation investment in a couple months. I predict an operation is going to come out soon. That's just my opinion. Off topic, but should I pick mouse hollows now or is it overpriced? Happy birthday to me. Yo, happy birthday to UFS. What's up, man? Personally, I'm going to say hold off on the mouse hollows. I think if you want something better, something cheaper, go with the mouse papers and the glitters. They are not as overpriced as the hollows. New players don't want to spend 10k on a knife. That's why Shadow Daggers are great. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Previously, the Shadow Daggers Vanilla also went up to 320 at its high, which is a good sign. Means that people saw how it looked in CS2 and, you know, there was demand. It can take years for some of the leaked knives to be added though, so you never know. The Tomahawk was leaked in the files, never got added. Facts, that is true. That is true. Do you know where I can get a coach for ranked? I've just started getting into CS and the game is incredibly challenging, so you're looking for a coach. Personally, if I was planning on hiring a coach, I would go for an ex-pro. Go for somebody reputable in the community who actually knows how the game works, who has first hands-on experience competing at the highest level. If you look at Nothing GG, Sean Garris, Nothing, some of those guys from the OG Cloud9, those guys, Hiko, I don't know if Hiko coaches, but like go for ex-players or like players that have those courses but actually were on high-tier teams. That's what I would recommend you do. Let's see. Do you think the liquid hollow is good to invest in? Will it rise in the future? I think it will rise in the future. I don't think it will explode in the future and it will perform as well as maybe like an Apex or an ITB will. It's a hidden gem in my opinion. It has potential, but I like the price. Let me just say that. I like the price a lot. It's appealing because of the price. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Thank you. I'll look into it. Thank you, Chep. No problem. Shin, no problem. Chat, do me a favor. If this is your first time watching the stream, hit that subscribe button. I post tons of videos on my YouTube channel about investments, about like how to get nice skins. I just uploaded a video yesterday. I'm going to be uploading more later this week. Highly recommend you guys check them out. What about the Ends Hollow? It's a cheap sticker. It's a very cheap sticker, but yeah, I'd probably go with something a little bit more pizzazz. Any clue how to link your Discord to your YouTube? It's all through Discord settings. Through the Discord app. All through the Discord app. Paris Liquid Hollow is an L. Stockholm is way better. Fair enough. Do you think the Paris capsules are a good investment to buy in bulk? Absolutely, Finality. Yes. Especially if you can get them at a low price. Easiest investment you can make. You buy them during the sale when they're cheap, you sell them after the sale when they're expensive. No brainer. You don't have to do any analysis. They're already cheap for you during the sale. It's as close to a safe thing as possible. DevSeer says, when is the next members only video? I'll try to have a video up for tomorrow. No promises for tonight. It may be tonight, but probably tomorrow, Friday. We'll probably have a Friday one, and then obviously Tier 3 stream on Saturdays. Is the Desert Eagle Blaze a good investment? Yes. Long term, I do see it rising. Chemo, great man. Hope you're doing, hope you the best. Thank you so much, man. Is the Ends Hollow a 10x? Funny, funny, funny. Great man. Okay, best way to get better at CS is to just hop into a ranked, and once you get good, Face It. Yeah, Face It will help you out for sure. Do you think the butterfly slaughter will grow long term, or should I sell for other investments? I think it will continue growing, but not at the pace as some other investments have the potential to. So, Talon, I think you should sell the butterfly slaughter, and personally, I would use some of that money for Paris, but you don't have to. Obviously, you can do other things. You can invest in cases, you can invest in maybe other knives, but that's what I would do. Nothing wrong with the slaughter, it's just, it's not as popular as it used to be. Let's see here. Anything else, chat? Any other questions? The floor is yours, guys. I know you've mentioned Apex. And guys, we're going to be doing another stream tomorrow on Friday. Close out the week and just do some Q&A. Just chill, have a relaxed Friday. Just talking investments and all of that. In the past, you've mentioned Apex Glitters. Are you buying their papers as well? Apex papers? No, I'm focusing on Mouse. Mouse papers, Mouse Glitters. Apex Glitters are good, but there's only a handful of items that I want to invest, like I can invest in with my strategy. And for those of you who don't know what my strategy is when it comes to investments, chats, go to my YouTube channel, click on the live tab, and I think it's this video, investing $1,000 in the Paris sale I lay out my aggressive strategy. There's different strategies you guys can use. You can do a passive conservative strategy. You can do an aggressive strategy, a mix of the two. I'm being a little bit more aggressive. I'm concentrating my investments. And if you're interested in learning more about that, watch this live stream, investing $1,000 into Paris. Okay. Is 22 cents a good price for sticker capsules? Anything 25 cents or under is a steal. Chat, if you can get capsules under 25 cents, ka-ching, ka-ching, buying during the sale, smart move, smart move. Sell Cloud9 hollows to buy into Paris capsules. Fluxo's Gamerly, ooh, probably, nah, I still like my Cloud9. I'm assuming those are Antwerp Cloud9s. I still like my Antwerp Cloud9s. I would personally hold on to them. They will probably buff glitters because you can't really see them. Yep, exactly. They can always change them. What should I buy after selling my B-Plugs Rust Coat? Probably some capsules or some stickers, maybe some glitters, maybe some papers. There's tons of opportunities from Paris that you can be investing in right now. So the world is your oyster, as they say. Thoughts on Fluxo glitters? They don't look amazing in CS2. Hopefully they fix them, but there's no guarantees, which is why I went with the Fluxo Hollow. Yes, it's a bit pricey. You can say it's overpriced, what have you, but I tend to prefer Fluxo Hollow the way it looks in CS2. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see. Do I have anything? Can you please do an ASMR video? That would be an interesting video. What do you want me to say in that video, to do in that video? ASMR video. This is ASMR with Fano. So you wouldn't buy a lot of papers. Wait, you wouldn't buy a lot of paper and glitter Apex. I thought they were good to invest in. No. Listen, just because I'm not buying them doesn't mean they're not good to invest in. It just means that me personally, I'm hella invested in Apex Hollows. I want to focus on 1 to 3 solid investments. And what I mean by solid is, Apex, while it is a good investment in my books, I'm heavily invested in Apex. I think Mouse is the safer, aggressive investment. Again, watch the live stream that I did, rewatch it, learn about the concentration tactic, and like, hopefully I'm explaining it. I'm probably doing a bad job explaining it, but like, there's only a handful of stickers I want to put my money in, and I've already covered my bases with Apex by investing in their hollows. However, the Mouse hollow, I am underweight. I am underinvested in the Mouse hollow. And because I'm underinvested in the Mouse hollow, because it's so expensive and overpriced in my opinion, I don't feel comfortable putting money in Mouse hollow, so what am I doing? I'm putting money in Mouse glitter, in Mouse paper that is cheaper, quote unquote, relative to its, hollow version, right? Apex, on the other hand, if you've been following my channel for the past few months, I've been periodically buying every week, so my cost basis, the average price that I paid, was not $13, $14 what it is now, but it's actually lower. I probably have an average entry point of like $6, $7, $8, probably $8 is like the average, let's say. So I've already covered my Apex investments, and would it be nice to buy Apex glitters? Sure. Would it be nice to buy Apex papers? Sure. But I chose to go into Mouse because I also think Mouse will do very well. But I'm not buying the hollows. I'm buying the glitters and papers because they're cheaper. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll rewatch it. I totally understand what you mean. Absolutely, man. Will the Anitaji go up since the Hydra cases are going up? Yes. If the cases are rising or the skins are rising, Anitaji will probably rise with time. Just know that the Anitaji is an underrated op skin, no matter what will happen. It's a rare collector's item. It's a slow grower. Yeah, it'll rise, but slow. It makes sense. Thank you so much. Of course, Marco. Of course. I'm here to help you guys out, explain as best I can. Drink some water, ASMR. I do need to drink some water, man. I am thirsty. Okay. Hey Fano, is it a good investment to buy a bunch of Chroma 3 cases, Gamma cases, and keep them for a few years? With the way that all these streamers are opening them, I wouldn't say no. I think that's a decent idea. Everybody's opening all these like Chroma cases and Gamma cases, so yeah, if you buy a bunch now, may not be a bad idea. The only thing that is risky in that is what if they decide to change the drop system? What if they decide to make it more easier to acquire those old cases? I'm not saying they're gonna do that, but there's always that risk when it comes to cases that they affect the market in a way that hurts older cases. Is it likely to happen? Probably not. So, you know, buy at your own risk at these elevated levels. Sorry for so many questions. I'm a pretty new investor. Hey, no problem, man. That's what these streams are for. I'm here to help you guys out. It's actually a great time to be investing right now. I mean, case prices have dipped quite a bit. I'll probably be doing I'll probably have a video up for next week, chat, talking about like, how would I invest $100 into cases right now? Like, you know, you take $100, how would you split it up? What sector or part of the case economy would you go with? New cases? You go with old cases? Discontinued cases? Which cases would you split like $100? I think that would be pretty decent. I love the rewatch on YouTube. BTC is crashing, so I got to go. Is it actually crashing right now? Oh shoot. Yo, I might have to go too. BTC is crashing, chat. Time to go, you know, bye. But we have lots of options right now. Yeah, Paris, Stockholm, Antwerp, cases, knives, they're all doing pretty well. Agreed. I think managing is more profitable. That's a yikes. What? Okay. Alright, and on that lovely note, chat, and on that lovely note, I think that's a good place to end this stream. I wanted it to be a short stream where we just talk about knives, maybe answer some questions. Guys, tomorrow, Friday, we're ending off the week with a bang. We're going to be talking about just pretty much Paris investments. We're going to be talking just Q&A, any sort of questions. We'll look at the markets. We'll see what they're doing. We didn't have too much time to look at the markets today. We'll spend some more digging tomorrow on the actual prices and markets of skins and such. If you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button. Same time tomorrow, we will go live and have more discussions. Chat, thanks so much for watching. Happy Thursday evening to all of you guys. Much love. Hope you guys stay safe. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. And good night. See you, chat. Love you guys. Bye.